It all starts here. Why market research is the core of every business. Hello, everyone. My name is Tessa. I'm the director of marketing at IdeaPros, and I have Fred Cary. Hello, Fred.
Hey, how are you?
Hey,
How's everybody?
good. And actually, I'm going to have them go ahead and tell you in the chat. Let us know how you're doing, guys. If you're watching us live or if you're catching the replay, Fred is the CEO of IdeaPros, and this is a really, really good topic for us because it's the beginning of everything. Right, Fred?
The beginning, the end, and the middle.
It is. So why would you say that it is where all things start for startups, for businesses, current businesses? What would make you think that?
Well, we haven't said what that is, right?
That being the market research is the core of every business.
Right. Yeah, and it's not just the research in the beginning, but it's through the entirety of the process. It's something that doesn't end. Um, if you think about market research, more like those scouts that would go in advance of any type of military operation. What are they doing? They're gathering evidence, they're gathering intelligence, they're seeing what the competition, if you will, is like, and they're looking at the battlefield. It's the same thing that happens in business. You would not expect somebody to come up to you and say, "Hey, you're going to be a coach of this professional team," and you are saying, "Awesome! I can't believe it. That's amazing. Thanks for hiring me." And all of a sudden, you're out on the field. You don't know if it's football, baseball, soccer. You don't know what players you have. You don't know who the opposition is. You don't even know the rules of the game and what you need to do to win. Nobody would do that as a coach, even as a little league coach. But as an entrepreneur, that's exactly what we do all the time. We have a great idea, quote unquote, and we go out into this battlefield and we don't even know what's out there. We don't know even not only who's on the playing field, but we don't know who the spectators are that we're trying to win over. And that's why the whole research component. And I've had partners and clients before say, why does this market research take so long? Or why do we have to do this market research? Or thanks, I haven't even read it. Um, that is, that's your playbook. That's how you go, how you differentiate yourself, how you understand the competition, how you figure out what their weaknesses are, because you're not going to be able to go against their strengths most of the time, because when you have competitors, they're already out there, they're ahead of you on their strengths. So you got to look for their weaknesses, and then the spectators, you need to learn how to get them on your side. They want you to win the game because you're doing something wrong. You're not doing something wrong because you've studied everything and you know all the right things to do to have them vote for your team as the winner. That's where it all begins, in understanding the game that you're playing and how to win it.
I can't even imagine not having the market research like what we do for our partners, but what we do for IdeaPros and all of the businesses. I can't imagine doing any marketing without having that information. Like you really can't. You're just throwing information out there into the internet or out into social media with there's no way you can get back to the goal of selling a product or an app or any business if you don't have this information. So I think it's so critical. I know that's a lot of what we do. And you mentioned it takes a while. It does, because there's deep research. And I know you don't want to tell, you're like the doctor that's not going to teach us about all the things that we need to stay healthy in an x-ray and how to read it. But what kinds of things go into market research?
Oh, well, when you're researching an industry, you and trying to figure out your competitors as well, you have to think broader than the way most of us do. Most of us, well, a lot of the people that I've spoken to, and we've had 100,000 applications in the last couple of years to work with us, and a lot of people will write, "I don't have any competitors." Think about that. If there's no competition for what you are trying to do, there's probably no demand for what you're trying to do. And I've talked about this analogy before about the whoever got the first car, started the first car, you could argue there were no competitors, but the competitors were horses and carriages. And the reason those were competitors is because it wasn't about cars. The problem was transportation. And a car was just a new way to solve an old problem. How do I get around? And so if you say, I don't have any competitors, then there's probably no problem out there that needs to be solved. And that's why the number one reason that new businesses fail, new entrepreneurial businesses fail, is that you've created something that there's no demand for. So it's so important to go out there with market research and first figure out, is there a market? Then how big is that market? Then is that market growing? The worst thing you can do is go into a maturing market that is already had its peak and is on its way down, unless you've got something revolutionary that's going to pick it way back up again. But you want to find a market that is stable and growing and that has a hole in it. Like, what is not being served by the people that are out there right now? For horses, it was probably that, they had to be fed and sheltered and could get sick, and they thought a car was going to fix a lot of those issues. For your own business, whatever it is, you have to look and see what is it that consumers are not getting from the solutions they have available to them now. And so if you understand that, then you start molding what it is that you're going to be doing. If you understand who your competitors are and where they're really strong, you can go find out their one-star reviews to see where they're really weak. And you can build a business around one-star reviews. If you can find commonality, let's suppose you have three main competitors. If you can find commonality in the things that their customers are disappointed in, you can build a whole business model around that and turn those one-star reviews into your five-star reviews. And then it becomes really easy for you, both to your messaging to the customer and to go out and get investors. Because from an investment standpoint, the last thing an investor wants to hear is, I don't have any competitors. This is a brand new market and people don't even know they need this. Because for an investor, they're going to freak out. They're going to go, oh my God, this person's trying to prove something I don't even know there's a demand for. But instead, if you get a market research report and you find there's competitors, but you're doing something better, it's a lot easier from an investor standpoint to hear, hey, look, Joe, there are three main competitors in this space. And it's been shown that over the last 2 years, these competitors have grown 25% a year. So there's a huge demand. But we're also seeing that there are a lot of their customers are unhappy with these two things. And those two things are what we really excel at. And those two things we're putting on top of everything else those competitors do, but we're adding the two things that customers really, really want. So we know there's a need, we know there's a market, and we know that we're going to be able to do it better because we have these two things that everybody's been complaining about that our competitors don't have. Now, that's really easy to get a check if you hear something like that. So your market research helps you not only formulate how you're going to go get your customers, but also the story that you can tell to your investors, that you understand the marketplace, you understand the inefficiencies of that marketplace, and you want to exploit those inefficiencies.
I love it. I get this from people a lot, and they'll say, I Googled it. I've done my market research. So, what's the danger in just the Google approach?
Yeah. Well, you know, I, when the internet first started coming out, and I helped invent the internet. No, not really,
And
but
you did, actually.
but I thought it was going to give great hope and great promise and great intellect to the world. Um, by the way, something like 30% of the world still doesn't have access to the internet. So, but that's a side story. But the reality is, it's kind of made us dumber in a way because there's support for any position that we have. And there is this bias from the technology that watches what you're typing and what you're doing and what you're interested in and what you're looking for. There's this bias that's going to feed you the type of information that you want to see. Whereas a deep research report, like what we do, when we do a research report, it's about 40 pages, and we go deep into the marketplace to really understand things that you're not going to find from some Google search. We go to all sorts of different data sources. We go to all sorts of different research firms. We pull up the data, then we look, and we go to Google as part of it to kind of validate some of our figures and maybe get some information about competitors and things. But it's not a process that you can really just figure out just by going to Google. However, the very biggest thing you need to do is not figure out whether or not there are any six-legged chairs out there, because that's what you want to invent. You have to really try to figure out whether there are chairs out there. What do people sit on now? There are sitting on four-legged chairs. Is anybody complaining that there are no six-legged chairs? Well, no, I don't see that complaint very often. Then why am I creating this thing? If you can start digging into what problem you're solving, how it's being solved now, and whether there's a demand for something different, figuring those things out in the very beginning will give you an idea of whether you even need to go further. Or if you have something, you go to Amazon and Google, not Google, search on Amazon what it is that you want to build, and see whether or not there's 50,000 of them very similar, or whether or not you're doing something that's unique and different and protectable, and that is something that consumers really need. And sometimes they don't know they need it, but in most of the cases, you can see just from reviews and things like, I wish I had this, or I wish I had that, or why does it do this thing when nobody needs it? And from that, you can build a business. The internet gives us so much intellect that we don't use. And then market research is way above that, and we tend not to use that at all.
I think the other piece that when you're Googling it, you have a lot of information overload. There's a lot of too much information out there, but it's hard to read what we're finding, right? So another big thing is, what does this mean? What does all of this data that you've collected really come to? So can you tell us a little bit about that too?
Yeah, and I've used the analogy before about, having something wrong with your leg or your chest or your lungs or something, and you go get an x-ray, and it'd be like the doctor just taking that x-ray and handing it to you and saying, have a nice day, and you go figure it out. Market research can be the same way. There there are things hidden within that research that you really need knowledge and experience to go through and figure out what's going on here. What's the analysis that is within all these pages? And it's not just going to run out and scream at you. Sometimes you have to dig through all the data to really look at all the points of light that are sitting there within that document and put them all together for your conclusions and your marching orders for how you're going to go to market.
I'm going to take the mute off because I have little puppies in the background. I'll explain more in a minute. But Levi has a great point, and that's beyond all of that. Now you've done your market research and you find out you have direct competition that you didn't know about, then you have to be able to pivot. So not only knowing what you're reading, it's that x-ray, but also how you're going to pivot in like midstream. So how do we come back to that? How do you help cut? How does the pivot process work in our world, Fred?
Well, I want to point out something else
Oh yeah.
in his sentences, because he also pointed out something that wasn't found in the market research, right? And that's why in the very beginning I said, you do it at the beginning, you do it in the middle, you do it at the end. You're constantly having to look and update, look around the corner, look behind your back, see what's out there, and do something about it. And pivoting, and sometimes even if you find new competitors, you really don't need to pivot from what you're doing. But other times, a competitor is so strong or is doing what you want to do so well that you do need to pivot. You should always be on your toes and always be prepared to make the necessary changes you need to make to be the strongest you can possibly be.
Poor Fred. He sounds like he has allergies right now.
You know what it is? I was on a 2-hour radio show yesterday.
Oh my. So
And
Fred talking for 2 hours.
they, they didn't have me stop at all.
Well, I'm not going to hold you any longer, but this is great information, Fred. We do have a resource available for people who want to learn more about the research process, how to do market research. So there's an insider's checklist that I'm going to put in the chat if you guys are interested in getting that. Has some of our best, I guess, tips. And Fred, do you want to explain what this is? Because I know we're so happy about it.
Yeah. Are you going to have a special link for that for here?
Yes. It's the norm. Yeah, it's not a unique new link because I would have thought of that prior to, but it is in the link right now.
Oh,
so that goes
okay.
to the insider checklist.
Does that have the checklist and it has my little speech?
It does on page 2. So it has so once you sign up for it, you actually get, yes, you do.
Yeah. So basically, look, on the internet, we all learn about entrepreneurship. You know, when I was a kid, even when most of you were kids, you didn't think about like, hey, who's really wealthy or who's really well known. It wasn't about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. It was about the doctors and lawyers that lived down the street, or that businessman that had the big grocery store, or the big supermarket, or rock stars and movie stars. That's who it was. And nowadays, when you start asking about famous people, it's usually about entrepreneurs, Elon Musk, and all of the guys from Amazon and Steve Jobs and all these things that we didn't look at before. And the internet has made it all seem really easy, especially through social media. There's so many people out there. I'm one of the naysayers. I say you got to be crazy to do this. You're going to have to work really, really hard. Never give up. Never get mad. Just get to it. Oh, I like that. Write that down, Tessa. And we're all outsiders when we start as entrepreneurs, because although the internet makes it look really easy, the fact of the matter is when you look at the multimillionaires, the billionaires that are into entrepreneurship, most of them came out of really, really great universities, and something like 60% of those went to MBA programs in those same types of schools. So when they have their idea and they're out of school, they call the professor, who calls 2 or 3 of his or her good friends in some big venture capital firm, and they get all this access to capital. And so they have this unfair advantage that the rest of us don't have. And this checklist kind of is insider's guide to the different things that you need to do. It's not that hard to do. As far as doing the things, it's hard to execute them all perfectly, but that checklist shows you the things that you need to do, the order you need to do them in, and why you need to do them. And I think even for our partners, it's really good to see that, and to be knowledgeable about those things, and make sure as our future CEOs in our companies that all those things have been checked off and that you understand them all, and you feel that they've all been done to your satisfaction. And then after that, I think I speak for about 15 minutes or so about entrepreneurship on there, and some of those lessons that sprout out of that checklist as well. So
Yes.
it would do you well to get the checklist and to watch the video.
Yeah, both are free. So go grab them for sure. Well, thank you, Fred. I'm going to let you go rest your voice for sure. But I appreciate
Are you
being
going
on.
to tell everybody about your puppies?
I am. I'm going to show them. You guys, I
Uh-oh.
have 8 brand new baby puppies that were born on National Puppy Day. So I know. They're so cute though. We have little babies. Oh, you can't even see them yet. Okay, hold on. There's a bunch of black ones and a couple white ones. So they are literally a day old, but you will hear, I'm sure, for like the next week, a lot of little puppy cries in the background. They make a lot of noise. They make a lot.
Yeah.
But I appreciate.
There's a there's a question about what radio stations
Oh,
I
yeah.
was on. It's actually going to be broadcast in 10 days, 12 days, something like that. And it's on all the iHeart radios around the country. So it's around 30 stations. We'll push it out before it happens, and see
Awesome.
if I have a radio voice. Today I don't.
Right? You might not have back-to-back radio,
Yeah.
gigs,
Yeah.
maybe.
All right, guys. Take
Thank
care.
you, Fred.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, guys, I am just going to hop over into the chat. As you know, I always do. Go see how you all are doing. So I'm curious if you can let me know in the chat if you've already had market research done. In the chat, let me know if give it a thumbs up if you have done your market research or you feel like you have, and then I'm just curious. I'm going to do a little poll on that. So good to see you. I know Dr. Clarice, Patrick, Sage. I'm coming back to you, so I'll say hi. Paul, good to have you here. I know Kelly is here. Vanessa with Get Zwizzy. And I'm going to go down the line. I always put up some of the promotional partners with websites. There's so many of our partners that we've launched recently. And partners are just people, they're our clients. If you guys hear us say that, they're our clients, but they are people that we are helping to get to market. So getzwizzy.com. She's awesome. Bill, if you can put yours in, hi, Bill. Good to have you. Put yours in so I can send people your way to Sage Scheduler, of course. Sage right now, sagescheduler.com. It's an awesome app, and he's growing his following every day, every day. So we have, let's see who else. Stephen, good to have you. Love having you all here because I know you're consuming all this important information. Mark, good to see you over there. Let me know what you guys want to see more of. I do have a crowdfunding specialist that I'm bringing on soon. I have a speaking, someone who does speaking coaching, but let me know in the chat if you guys have something specific that you want to have us do a topic about. And we're here every Friday, as you all know, every Friday at noon Pacific time. I have changed the post. So if you want to get notifications when we go live, you can hit the bell, or, I'm going to see if this is going to work. I don't know if it's going to behave today. Oh, no, it won't behave, but that's okay. They have these new features in here that I can play with now. So I'm always trying new things on this StreamYard. But we have, if you hit the bell, you'll get notifications. But if you reply in the post, then, and it's remind me, REMIND, me, M-E, all one word, then it will prompt you and send you a link so that you can sign up to get notifications when we go live. I love having people here. I love having the conversation. The more people that are putting conversations or engaging with us over in the chat, the more we can do live with you. If you're catching the replay, we totally get it. We love having you here no matter when you come in, but definitely hashtag replay so we know kind of what time would be better for y'all to be able to join us. All right. Well, so I will see you guys all noon Pacific next Friday. They might be a lot louder than they are right now. I'm going to leave you with a little video of them up close. Oh, they're just so cute, little babies. Mama is so tired. They're a husky mix. They're just so cute. Husky mix. She's husky golden retriever. The dad is poodle golden retriever. So if anyone wants puppies and is near me, you just let me know. I will see you all. Hey, Nama. Nama. There we go. Good to have you. I'm so glad you're here. Watch the replay if you didn't catch it, because we had a lot of great information about market research today. And I will see you guys all next week. Have a blessed week. Bye.